in this life, your success and failure to a great extent depends on who you settle down with. It depends on who you get married to. It depends on who you spend the rest of your life with. Marriage is really not a joke. You know, before when I was much younger, when I used to hear people talk about marriage, they want to get married, they want to go into marriage, they want to stay married and all of that. It's fine. Marriage is a beautiful thing. Marriage is nice. It's one of the institutions that was actually given a go-ahead by God himself. But who you spend your life with in that marriage is what really matters. It goes a long way to either make or mar you. Now, there are lots of people that when they were still single, they had a lot of dreams and aspirations. They had a lot of ideas they wanted to execute in life. They had a lot of goals they wanted achieved. They had a lot of things they wanted going for them. They had already planned their lives from the word go. They had already planned their future from the way they wanted it to be. And things were already falling into places. Things were already working for them. There were people back then that they were actually doing well. Even at a young age, things were fantastic in their lives. It's not like they didn't have problems at all, but they have already mapped out how they want their future to be. They have already mapped out how they want their life, their career, how they want to be successful in life, how they want to achieve certain goals, how they want to get to the top, how they want their dreams, to be executed. And then marriage happens, and it didn't really go the way they wanted. It really didn't go the way they expected. And they just keep thinking, oh my God, I wouldn't have gotten married. Marriage is not good. Marriage is hellfire. Marriage is not the right place to be. Marriage is this, marriage is that. It's not marriage that is the problem. It's not marriage that did you bad. Neither is marriage a wrong idea because it didn't work for you. But it is the person you married that is your problem. That's why, to a very great extent, you really need to be very careful when settling down. You need to be really, really careful. You need to know if the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with is a helper, if he's a builder, or if she's a destroyer. Now, there are people that come into our lives for one reason or the other, and your life takes a U-turn. You were just moving on with your life as a single person. You were doing well. You were flourishing in your career, flourishing in your business. You were getting your degrees, getting your qualifications. Everything was working well for you. Anything you touch just turns to gold. You had a good life. You had all the basic necessities of life that one can ask for and get at the snap of your finger. But then you get married, and before you know it, everything starts crumbling right there before your very eyes. You could be a young man who is doing very well. You have one or two businesses that is giving you, your daily income. You have a roof over your head. You have that one car that is moving you around. You have the basic necessities that life can actually offer. You are not a pauper. You are not hungry. You are not begging to eat. You are okay. You are comfortable. You live a moderate lifestyle. Everything is going well for you. And all of a sudden you say, okay, it's time for me to settle down. It's time for me to take that major step in my life and then get a life partner. And then you get married to a girl. And unfortunately for you, that girl might be the first child out of a family of 7 or 8. She might be a child who comes from a large family. Maybe she's the first child, and her younger ones are there. Maybe she's the first out of 7 or 8. And maybe out of all of these children, she is the only one that is married. Maybe out of all these children, she is the only one that is educated. And then you go ahead and you marry her. By so doing, it will only take the grace of God for you not to carry the load that is bigger than you. Because already, she has a huge responsibility waiting for her. She has younger ones who are there, who need to be tended to, who needs to be taken care of, who needs to maybe finish their education. Maybe some of them need businesses to be set up so that they will be on their own and not, depend on her. They all need one thing or the other in life that they're all still striving to achieve. And because she's the bigger sister here, of course, she won't just want to sit down and watch her younger ones while away. So she might want to help. And at this point, it will be worse for you if she's not even doing anything before you got married to her, because you will be the one to carry that burden in her family. You will be the one to carry that load. You will be the one to, want to help with the younger ones. You will be the one to maybe want to put a roof over their head if they have none. You will be the one to support her family, her parents. You will carry a load that is greater than you. And don't forget that you still have your own family by the side, also looking up to you. Before you know it, that vibrant, bubbly young man, that go-getter that you were when you were single, begins to get stressed out. You begin to get overworked. You begin to get angry. Because once you're stressed, it leads to anger. You begin to get angry. Every little thing she does will just start irritating you. Every little thing she does, you will just start finding faults. Even the one she does not do bad, you will find faults. Not because she is a bad person, but because the load you are now carrying is bigger than you. And by so doing, it is limiting you from getting to certain places. By so doing, it is stressing, it is putting a strain on you. Maybe you were working 6 hours in the past as a young single person. Maybe you were working 7 hours in the past. With that, you're okay. It can take care of you. And now you're getting married. Fine, you might assume, okay, fine, since I'm getting married, I could just add like maybe extra 1 hour because, an extra mouth is coming. I need to feed her. But you thinking you just be working 7 hours in a day. By the time you get married to such person, you find yourself working like 12 hours because the responsibility ahead of you is huge. And if you are not careful, this could destroy your dreams. It could destroy your plans in life, because probably you have thought that, okay, let me get married to my wife. Let me see if I could, maybe when we get married, we might want to save up money to do 1 or 2 things. I might want to save up money to do one business or to travel and do this, or to maybe you've already had that picture in your mind what you intend to do immediately you get married. But because this huge train and this huge village you have right there in the name of marriage is there, you will now start looking like, if I use this money to take care of myself, but my in-laws are suffering, what does that make me look like? It makes me look like a weak in-law. It makes me look like a bad person. And it makes me look like someone that is selfish. Let me forget my dream. Let me forget this vision I want to do. Let me forget this thing I have in mind. Let me use the money to take care of our younger ones. Let me use the money to sponsor one in school. Let me use the money to set up a business for her family. You have buried your dream because of her. Or is it the issue of a young girl who tries to get married? Before she gets married, she's doing well. Let's say she's a graduate, she's been to school, she comes out and maybe she has the plans of being a medical doctor. She goes for it, she becomes a doctor, she has a good job, she has, a good life. And then she says, fine, it's time for me to settle down because I think I've achieved everything I need to achieve and my family is on my neck to get married. And she goes ahead to settle down. And she settles down with a man that says, you know what? I don't want you to be a doctor because doctors spend a lot of time in the hospitals, or because your hospital is too far from home, or he just finds one excuse to make you quit what you're doing. Or you hear stories of maybe women who were into a particular line of business. They were doing well. They were flourishing. Everything was working for them. And the next thing, they just get this husband who says, okay, let's get married. And they get married. And after a while, the husband is like, why don't you try and start importing stockfish? I heard that stockfish is a very good business. Why don't you try and start importing bala? Why don't you try and start importing pomo, or things like that? Go into food business. I heard that is very lucrative. And maybe the single girl, before she got married, she was dealing in shoes and bags, assuming that was her line of business, and she was doing very well there. And because her husband brings up this idea, and then she feels, okay, fine, let me go with it. Meanwhile, she has no idea how the food market works. She goes along with the husband's ideas, dumps her own. Start importing food items, start dealing with food items, start selling food items. A line, a route, she has no idea how it works. And before she knows it, she starts making losses. She starts incurring huge losses because she has no idea how it works. She doesn't know exactly the market, how the market runs. And when these things start falling apart, initially you might not really know the main cause. You might just think it's normal. It's one of those things, businesses will rise and fall. It's normal thing. It's normal for people to rise and fall. You always get up again and all that. That is one of the things we use to console ourselves, because at that point you may not know that it is the decision of your partner. It is the contribution of your partner in your life at that point that has messed you up. But you might just think it's normal, and before you know it, things have taken a different turn. You start regretting why you went into such a thing. You start regretting why you went in, why you made a decision that is not really favoring you. Marry right. It's one thing to get married, and it's another thing to marry the right person. Now, I'm not going to sit down here and tell you, oh, this is the right kind of person you should marry, because I'm not a relationship expert. I'm only giving this little 2 cents of mine based on personal experiences and from people's stories. When you marry the right person, you don't need to be told that you are in the right place. The person will support you, will support your dreams, will support your aspirations. What is it you want to do? He or she may not have the financial means to back you up, but there is nothing as better as words of encouragement. When someone says to you, my dear, you know what, this business you want to do is a fantastic one. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I see success at the end of this whole thing. Yeah, it might not be rosy initially, but continue. With time, you will get there. That is the voice of the man or the voice of the woman who wants your success. When someone tells you, okay, you know what, people are going into this line of business, I'm just bringing it as a suggestion. I don't know if you want to do it. Why don't you see if you can try it? If it doesn't work out, fine, we can pull out and we think of something else to do. That is the voice of someone who wants your success. When someone tells you, okay, you know what, why don't we see if we can try this? Why don't you think if you can go back to school, get this degree? Right now, this particular career is in vogue, that particular career is in vogue. Let's see if it's something you want to do. But I'm not imposing it on you. Why don't you go and think about it? That is the voice of someone who supports you. Genuinely, is not the one that will tell you, okay, you say you want to start selling beans. Is that what is raining now? Guys, do it or sell your beans so that you will not say I'm the one that discouraged you tomorrow. Indirectly, in their mind, they have already cancelled that dream of yours. In their mind, they have already told you that you're on your own. If anything happens, don't call me. Just carry your cross. That is not the voice of a supporter. That is not the voice of someone who actually wishes you well. The person is just trying to be neutral. He or she is trying to stay neutral in case it doesn't work out for you. Then they will say, okay, thank God, though, I didn't impose it on you. It's your choice. Marry right. A lot of people get married. Give them 3-4 years. They start looking older than their age. They start looking depressed. They start looking frustrated because they married the wrong person. Marriage is full of tolerance. There are certain things you have to tolerate in marriage, and is also full of compromise. You have to compromise in certain aspects. But when you compromise to the extent that you lose yourself, that's where the problem is. Because if you're compromising and the person you are compromising for is not aligning with your belief. It's not aligning with the support you are giving him or her, or it's not even making things work. It's leaving everything for you. Let's take, for instance, you marry a man. The man doesn't want to live in Nigeria. He wants to live outside the country, but you have a good job back there in Nigeria, and you don't see the reason why you should pack up your things and move abroad. And you think, anyway, I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. But let's see what will happen. Maybe when I get abroad, I'll get a good job there. While he's working, I'm working, fine, things move on. And you both sit down to discuss this. And he tells you something like, I'm really sorry about this. I know it's not your decision. This is not really what you want. But you see, I think that if we do it like this, we will get there, we will climb better, we will get there, we will get bigger. He gives you reasons why that move should be made. He gives you positive reasons why it should be made. Yeah, when you're compromising on this aspect, based on the fact that you have also secured your own end, which means that as you're going there, you're also going to get something doing so you could support yourselves. That's a good compromise. But the kind of compromise that is devilish, demonic, and honestly does not make sense is when you totally lose everything about you because you want to make the other person happy. For instance, you are a graduate, you go to school, you have everything going on for you, everything is perfect and well. And all of a sudden, you marry this girl, and the girl says, you know what? I don't want you to be, looking after your family. I don't want your family members to come to this house. I just want it, me and you. I don't want any interference from in-laws and all that. But, I have younger ones, and I'm an orphan. So I want my younger ones to be coming over to the house. I want my younger brother to come and live with us. Or my younger sister should move in with me so that she can take care of my children. That's an evil compromise. If you as a man allow that, because she has just told you that I don't want your own side of the family to come to the house, but I want my side of the family to come to the house. At this point, she's not even giving you a midway to think about it or see if it suits you. She's telling you this is what she wants because she does not want interference from your family. It doesn't make sense. Someone like this will end up causing serious enmity between you and your family. And that is because you didn't marry right. Marry right. Your marriage, the person you marry in life has a long way to determining what your future holds for you. The partner you choose in this life has a long way in either making or marrying your life. If you marry the right person, I bet you will enjoy marriage. This thing they call marriage can be fun if you're with the right person. It can be interesting. It can be sweet. Even though all marriages have challenges, but you will find yourself overcoming the challenges as if nothing happened. It is when you marry the wrong person that you see yourself, at that point, it becomes like a punishment. That is when you start regretting. I wish I didn't marry this girl. I wish I didn't marry this man. I wish marriage is scam. And that's when you start hearing things like marriage is scam, marriage is this, marriage is that. And then you start bringing out all the hate you have for marriage just because one person did something that did not work out in your marriage, or because one person hurt you in one way or the other. Marriage is not a terrible decision. Who you marry is the decision you have to really be considerate and you have to really be careful about. Marriage is not a terrible decision. It is who you marry that makes your marriage what it is. That's why you should be wise when settling down. That's why you should be wise when choosing a life partner. And that is why you should choose your life partner. Don't allow people choose you. Don't wait to be chosen. As a man, as a woman, you have the right to decide if you want the person or not. Not because the person just comes to know, I want to marry you, and you feel, well, yeah, he wants to marry me. After all, for him to say he wants to marry me, that means he loves me more. Yes, let me go for it. It doesn't really work like that. Someone can say, I want to marry you. It doesn't really mean the person loves you so much. It could be maybe because the person is running out of time. It could be because the family is on his neck or her neck to settle down. It could be because of age. Maybe he or she feels I'm getting too young, I want to settle that, I need to start having my children. It could be for different reasons. So don't think because someone opens their mouth and says, I love you, I want to marry you, actually means that the person, the love is coming out from his or her nose. No. People get married for different reasons. That's why even if someone says, I want to marry you, check and balance the whole thing. Is he worth the marriage? Is she worth it in the long run? You have the right to say no. Until you get that right person who will support your dreams. Until you get that right person who will move mountains with you and for you. Because when you get into a marriage and you are moving the mountains alone, your back will break.